Hey girls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today is going to be the start of another weekly reading vlog. I am currently in the middle of 3 very different books, but I am enjoying all of them. I'm hoping to finish at least one today. They are all very, very different in genre, tone, pretty much everything, but I'm having a good time reading all of them. So quickly going to go through all the books that I am currently reading. So first of all, we've got a reread 70% through Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I'm hoping to finish this one today because it is a reread. It shouldn't take me as long to fly through these pages. I am, like a lot of people, I'm sure, rereading every single thing that Sarah J. Maas has come out with before her new book comes out in January, and I am very excited because for me personally, Throne of Glass at the end of this book is where things really take off with the plot and where this series really gets elevated to one of my favorites in my opinion. So I am excited to keep reading this one. Hopefully, like I said again, finish it today, move on to Queen of Shadows, which I'm pretty sure from my last read, which has been the only time I've ever read this series, was my favorite in the series. We'll have to see, but hopefully finishing this today. The other 2 books, I'm not sure if I am gonna finish them today. Probably not, but you know, we'll make our way through them. So the next book is Delicate Condition. This is a horror book in the vein of Rosemary's Baby. Really has to deal with pregnancy horror and in particular IVF and the medical system and what it takes for a woman to be believed about what is happening within her own body. So following Anna Alcott, she's desperate to have a family. Her and her husband are trying really hard via IVF for a baby. She is in her late 30s, and she has decided, you know, after she's been an actor for a while, she's decided that this is the time for them to try and have a family. They run into a lot of complications, and as she's trying to go through this very harrowing IVF process, she also, like, her latest movie absolutely blows up. So she's at the height of her career. She's also trying to start a baby. Just things start happening within her IVF and pregnancy journey, and she has to fight to be believed about her own experiences and what she's experiencing. I was really intrigued to read this one because apparently this is the plot of the next season of American Horror Story. So that's very interesting. I would love to watch that adaptation. So I'm about 20% of the way through this one. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I think we're right about to get into the nitty-gritty of everything that's going on. So looking forward to continuing this week. And then last but not least, we have Masters of Death by Olivie Blake. This one I have just really been taking my time with, really savoring, devouring every single page. I'm really loving this one. This is, first of all, like most of her books, I'm gonna say if you don't like heavy atmosphere, slow, character-driven stories, you're not going to want this one. Definitely know that going into this book that it is slow, it is character-driven. We're following a fun cast of characters that are all like different supernatural creatures or beings. You know, we're following anything from angels to demons to devils to kelpies to vampires, and Aswang is one of our main characters in here, to the godson of death himself. So this is a very, very charming story. I personally consider this like cozy horror fantasy. I'm really enjoying just the discussions and the banter between all of the characters. Like we have one of our main characters, Vi, is trying to sell a house. She's a vampire, but she's also a real estate agent, and she's really working hard to sell the house even though the house's owner is still in the house as a ghost and is making it very hard for her to try and sell this house. We also have the godson of death, who death has maybe gone missing, and it has to do with a mysterious game that only immortals can take part in. So we've got a lot of moving pieces. I'm really loving the characterization and all the characters in here. So this is the 3rd book that I'm currently in the middle of, and I'm about 60 to 70% of the way through this one as well. So those are the 3 books. So I'm currently making my way through. It is the 28th. I'm so excited. I actually filmed a September TBR. I don't normally film TBRs, but I did for September. I'm so excited for like all of the books on that list. So once I finish these, all of these, hopefully that'll wrap up my August reading and I can get started on my September TBR, because I'm so excited. I have lots of good reading plans, lots of books that are releasing that I'm excited about, and just, you know, a lot of good stuff planned. So I'm looking forward to finishing all 3 of these books. That's really going to be the introduction. Hope everyone is having a really good Monday, or, you know, whenever you're watching this video, and I will talk to you all later with another reading update.
friends, happy Wednesday. It is the 30th of August, which means one more day. Well, I guess two, because it's pretty early on Wednesday, but we have the 30th, we have the 31st, and then we have September,
which is so exciting. I've definitely been like working on some September goals, September projects. I do have my September TBR out. I filmed that a couple of days ago and I got really excited for September, just going ahead and filming that, talking about some of the books that I want to read in the upcoming month. And yeah, I'm very excited for the Burr months. That's like when I thrive. And also when I can, you know, venture outside my house, because I live in the South and it's not forever. There are a ton of things that I like about living here. I guess I shouldn't say a ton, but there are a lot of things and a lot of people that I like about living here in Arkansas. But the weather's not one of them. The weather has never been one of them. I'm a very cold weather person, so yeah, like September is when I get to start like enjoying myself outside again, which is sad. It's sad when it's like 80 degrees and it feels cool. So I'm excited for the weather to hopefully cool down soon, be able to do some like fun things outside, some fall things outside, planning on maybe making a couple trips home for some family things, so that's gonna be really fun. So yesterday was kind of a relaxed day for me. I did work and then I also like did a lot of planning for September, both like personally and just in general, and then also I did a lot of reading. And I did manage to finish 2 of the 3 books that I've been reading this week. So first of all, Heir by Sarah J. Maas. I feel like this is the book where we really start to see like the last 150 to 200 pages of a Sarah J. Maas book are like pedal to the metal, non-stop action, non-stop jaw-dropping moments. Like this book, I feel like is where that whole phenomenon starts, because the end of this book really has me excited to pick up the next, which is technically on my September TBR. So we're taking a 2-day break from the Massiverse before I pick up Queen of Shadows. So finished this, really enjoyed it. It was a reread, so that's not a surprise to me. And then last night I also finished Masters of Death by Olivie Blake, and I loved this one. I loved it. You know, I think for a lot of people, like it's hard giving a premise to this one because the premise sounds more action-packed than it is, because this does have largely to do with an immortal game that only immortals can play. Mortals are not allowed. There's only one rule, and that's don't lose. So, you know, when I say that, it sounds like very like action-packed game tournament sort of style. The tournament, like the game, in true Olivie Blake fashion is very character-driven, very emotional. This is a very character-driven, emotionally paced story, and, you know, I like bringing this up because, well, I like saying that, you know, I generally like a plotless book. There's really like no such thing as a plotless book, because, you know, just the action in here is character development and internal action, not external action. So keep that in mind before you really pick up any books by this author, but I love it. I loved this, and ooh, I think it's my next favorite after the Atlas series. So yeah, I really loved it. I loved the characters. She did say that this one out of all of her books feels the most finished, and it's probably a standalone. So bummer, but also at the same time, I totally get it. I totally get that this is definitely a standalone. So if you're looking for a cozy fantasy, I say cozy, there's like some heart-wrenching emotional beats in here, but if you're looking for like a cozier, quieter book with a bunch of supernatural creatures in it, highly recommend this. It's definitely going to be one of my favorite books of the year. I can just tell. I really loved it. So now that I finished those, I'm also kind of in like a bookish limbo because, again, 2 days, 1 day if you don't count today, is not a lot of time to really pick up anything else and like start anew for September. So we'll have to think about this one. I'm still reading Delicate Condition. This was like the least priority out of the 3 books that I was reading, but I am about 30% of the way through this one, still enjoying it. There was a very creepy scene in a hospital, and just based on the main character's narration, this is when it's really gonna start going from like domestic sort of thriller horror to maybe supernatural horror or something else going on horror. So I am going to be continuing to read this. I like having multiple books going on at a time, so I'll definitely probably pick up something else as well, but I think I can finish this by the end of the month. This might be the last book that I finish this month, but I haven't decided what I'm going to pick up. For my second book, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I read faster. I enjoy reading more when I have multiple books going on at a time. I definitely think it's also a way that like I haven't really ever had a long reading slump that's been more than a few days. I have not had that, of course, knock on wood, but I haven't had a reading slump like in my adult life since I really got back into reading books again. And I do credit it for the fact that I read multiple books at once, because if I were to read one book at a time, if I wasn't in the mood for this story, for this book, I'm not saying anything against this one because I'm enjoying reading it, but if I wasn't in the mood for a book about pregnancy, you know, I could see how if I only read one book at a time, my choices would be to DNF this, which I don't want to do, or keep on reading it or not read. So having multiple books at one time, and I also kind of try with my multiple books to read in different genres too. So like I'll have a fantasy going on, a horror going on, you know, stuff like that. So keeping it interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm gonna pick up for my second book. Yeah, I just thought I would mention that because it's definitely, I know a lot of people like that would not like work for them, but for me and my reading style, it's definitely like I think it's one of the reasons why I love reading so much and why I've never really been in a slump, and like how reading is just a part of my everyday life. So, you know, I feel like it sounds crazier in theory than it is in practice. Like I'm not reading the books simultaneously. Like one day I'll be in a horror mood, so I'll pick up a horror. The next day I might be in more of a sci-fi mood, so I'll pick up a sci-fi. So, you know, I'll kind of alternate between the two, or 3 or 4. Yeah, normally between 2 and 4 books going on at any given time, especially with library holds. Sometimes it can be chaotic because, you know, sometimes Libby snatches the books back from you before you're finished. So plans for today, I am going to keep reading Delicate Condition. I'm going to pick out another book to read. I still have some work that I need to do, and then I'm also planning out my own personal NaNoWriMo in September. So I have participated in National Novel Writing Month in November for the past couple years now. One last year, had a whole lot of fun, and I have a really great idea for a book that I've just been marinating on, but I've been finding it really hard to just like get back in the writing practice. I don't know what it is about NaNoWriMo, but it really just invigorates me, and if I can spark that enjoyment and passion for writing that NaNoWriMo gives, I feel like this isn't the healthiest thing, but like I love the gamifying of it, and I also love the community aspect of it, because last year I was in a group that my library hosted, and that was like wildly helpful. Even if I didn't go every week or participate in the events, just like having people to commiserate with, to talk with, was so helpful. I'm an introvert, and it was like really helpful for me. So anyway, September I'm going to try and write 1,000 words every single day of my work in progress, which is going to be hard, but I think now that I've finally got my new job, like I'm in the swing of things, I have my routine now of working from home and like figuring out that work-life balance, I think I have more time just to sit down and write every day. So I'm gonna try and have my own NaNoWriMo challenge in September. I'm gonna try and write 1,000 words every day, which is less than the typical NaNoWriMo. So NaNoWriMo, it's 1,667 words every single day to hit your goal. Only 1,000 words a day for me. And then in October, I am still going to try and write, but more like brainstorm, world build, nothing like too strenuous in October, because, you know, October is my time to shine as a spooky girl. There's like, I have a lot of plans and a lot of activities and things to do. So I probably won't be able to write every single day in October, which is okay. I'm gonna take a more lax writing month that month. And then in November, I'm gonna hit the ground running. I also have a lot of stuff going on in November. Very, very exciting stuff going on in November. But because I've already done like hopefully like a little bit of a first draft in September for my work in progress, then I will be able to kind of go back and do a second draft on that in November. So those are my writing plans. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I feel confident about it. This month I was kind of trying here and there to again like do some world building, because it is kind of like a horror fantasy sort of series. So lots of world building there for my work in progress. So I've kind of been doing that this month, and then next month, which is in 2 days, I am gonna hit the ground running and start, because you know, it's never gonna get written if I don't start, and no one has to read it. No one has to read my first draft. That's the biggest thing for me, is for my writing, I have written a lot of first drafts of books. I think I have at least 2 first drafts of novels that are probably never going to see the light of day because I don't love them, but they were good writing practice. And you know, no one but me has to see them. No one but me has to see my work in September, having a first draft and then trying to start a second draft with, again, the knowledge that I'm writing for me and this is fun. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do that. So those are my September goals. So I'm gonna get back to work, gonna figure out what book that I am going to read next, keep reading Delicate Condition, and I will talk to you all later with another reading update. Hey friends, happy Thursday, happy official last day of summer for me, because it's August 31st. Tomorrow's September, that starts officially fall for me, even though fall doesn't officially start until the 23rd. We're just taking that in, okay? So tomorrow is a very busy day in terms of running errands. I'm also gonna go get lunch with a friend. I've got something to notarize, something to send, just a lot of stuff happening tomorrow. I do also have to go to the library to return some books, which did influence what book I had decided to pick up next, and that was the Chateau by Jaclyn Goldis. And this is a thriller about 4 friends who met when they were in their 20s, when they all studied abroad in France for college. One of the women, Darcy, her grandmère, actually lives in a chateau in France, and they all really bonded. They all spent summers kind of at this chateau. 20 years later, 20 years go by. They're all still really close friends, these 4 women. They have a lot of secrets too though. And Darcy's grandmother invites them to the chateau for one more visit, and she promises it's gonna be a fun time, but she has something serious to talk to them about. Something that's going to change the course of their friendship, change the course of a lot of things, but before she can do that, she's mysteriously murdered. At the same time, a mysterious Instagram page pops up and starts posting intimate shots of the women at the chateau, threatening that they will expose all of these women's secrets. So feels kind of like an adult Pretty Little Liars almost. All the protagonists are in their 40s, so definitely in a different headspace than our characters in Pretty Little Liars, but like the drama, the interconnected friendship of when you're friends with someone for a while, and like not the like when you have a good friendship with someone, you know everything about them, including, you know, maybe the parts of themselves they don't like or the parts of their past that they don't like. But it turns out all 4 of these women have been keeping secrets, ranging from everything to adultery to maybe so much worse. So this is actually overdue at the library. Oops, that's my bad on that one, but I am returning it tomorrow, and this is such like a fast-paced read. I started it yesterday, already on page 200, and it's only about 320 pages, so I am going to breeze through the rest of this today and return it tomorrow morning. So you won't see me actually physically holding it, but I'll give you my thoughts. I know a lot about a thriller can be depending on the ending. I really try not to just solely base my enjoyment on the ending, because there's obviously so much more book that goes into this thriller than the ending, but I'm having a good time. So it definitely feels like kind of like I've never seen one of these shows before, but like The Real Housewives of plus Pretty Little Liars, kind of, in a kind of closed, locked door mystery sort of location. They're all stuck in this chateau where creepy things are continuing to happen. They have to figure out if it's one of the four of them or someone else. So I am enjoying this one. I'll get back to delicate condition once I get a little bit more through this one, aka finishing it before my library hold. So yeah, I am enjoying my time with it. I don't think it's necessarily one that I'm going to remember forever, or have like on a list of like my top 10 favorite thrillers, but this is definitely, if you're a beach read person but you don't like romances or the typical beach reads, I would recommend this because I do think it's fairly fast-paced. We get points of view from all four of the main female characters, and they're all very unlikable but like interesting to read about. Like, they're not unlikable and you don't like reading from their point of view. They're all kind of unlikable and various levels of unlikable, but it's interesting seeing their thought process and points of view. So I'm gonna finish this either tonight or tomorrow, hopefully tonight, so I can return it. I don't even know where it was. I had to stop Obi from getting into the garbage. So I'm gonna finish this either today or tomorrow morning, go to the library tomorrow, celebrate the first day of September tomorrow. So actually, hopefully, I probably should finish both of these today so I can put them on my August reading list. I don't do wrap-up videos simply because I don't enjoy filming them. And they're not something I typically watch, especially if the creator has like weekly vlogs, because they just feel redundant to me because I already know what the creator thinks about the books. But I kind of want to finish both of these in August. So I don't know, maybe I'll stay up late, maybe I'll finish one, maybe I'll finish two. We will have to see. But it's gonna be shorter little update today because that's all my reading updates. I am very, very much looking forward to the start of autumn. It's still gonna be hot as all get out tomorrow, but it will be September, so that will be very exciting. So looking forward to that. Gonna read some books, some twisty turny books, and I will talk to you all a little bit later, probably tomorrow, probably after the library. Maybe we'll have a library haul, we'll see. I have no self-control when it comes to library holds and library books, so yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Hey ghouls and gals, happy September, happy Friday, happy just start of like overall spooky season and fall, and we're gonna ignore the fact that it's still like 80 degrees here because it's fall. It's fall. It's spooky season. We're calling it. It's not even premature or early anymore. Happy spooky season, ghouls and gals. This is what we live for here on herbivorehaunts channel. But I did finish some books quickly before I start talking about like all of the horror and all of the just books that I'm just so excited to read now that it's September. I finished the Chateau. Still have the same feelings about it, that it was very fun. It was kind of like go into it thinking of like, you know, Pretty Little Liars-esque type drama. Does it seem realistic? No. Were the twists kind of a little bit unbelievable? And also there's an epilogue that I did not like in here, yes, but if you ignore the epilogue, this was just really fun. Definitely for me this would be like a spooky beachy read to suggest because it's very easy to read. I flew through it. I had a fun time reading it. Definitely, you know, if you take it a distance and look at all the stuff that happens in it, it kind of starts to fall apart. And also know going into this one, the characters are very unlikable. And some of the characters are unlikable in ways that you start to like them. Some are unlikable the whole time, and honestly, I think that kind of helps you solve who did it. So just keep that in mind. And it was fun. It was a fast read. And then I finished Delicate Condition actually today. So it's my first read of September technically, even though I read about 70% of it in August. Do I think that this is the feminist update to Rosemary's Baby that we all needed? No, I do not, because number one, Rosemary's Baby is feminist. I don't think that there was ever, I don't know, I don't think that there is a problem with calling Rosemary's Baby feminist, especially for its time and the social commentary that it had. I liked the beginning. The middle kind of fell apart for me, and then the end was also solid. I felt like this could have benefited from being a little bit shorter. I also felt at times, even though I don't normally say this, but I just think like it was very heavy-handed, and it tried to tackle a lot of different issues within like the birth process and the getting pregnant and having kids process, and didn't really know what exactly that it wanted to say specifically about those things. But I did like the idea. Not so much the execution, but I'm very interested to see how American Horror Story is going to, sorry about the chew toy. If you hear squeaking, that's Obi. But I am really interested to see what American Horror Story does with this story, because I definitely think this almost would have been like a very solid short story, or even if you just trimmed out some of the middle. Definitely some of the middle is where it lost me, because I think for horror like this, it has to be so personal, it has to be so internal in a way, and a lot of times I never got our main character Anna's motivations or thought process, other than like everything was happening to her, and I never really understood her as a character, why she did, quite frankly, anything in this, and also like the character dynamics that you're supposed to buy into at the beginning. You don't really ever get like opportunities to see the relationships when they're like doing well, and like the reasons why, you know, she might have picked her doctor, she might have picked her husband. So I needed a lot more of that. And it also just felt very, very long and repetitive in the middle, but not bad. I actually did not realize that this was a pseudonym for Danielle Vega, who's written some YA horror that I've enjoyed. So it's interesting to see her branch out into something new. Definitely would check out something else by her adult horror pen name. But yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Definitely not the feminist update to Rosemary's Baby. And honestly, I feel like this story definitely would have benefited from not being compared to Rosemary's Baby. So yeah, I read it. It was it's like 400 pages, you guys. So definitely I'm interested to see how it gets adapted into TV, because I think some of the imagery in here was very spooky, very disgusting. So I'm intrigued, but unfortunately not like a 5-star out of the park hit like I was hoping it would be, but that is okay. So now that means it is Friday, and I have nothing that I am currently reading, so it's time to pick out some books for the weekend. Physical book, we're going with The Handyman Method by Nick Cutter and Andrew Sullivan, and this is haunted house spooky horror. I have heard this is very terrifying, so I'm excited to dive into it. This will be my physical book for the weekend. And then in terms of audiobook, I have two options, because the first option is only 4 hours long, so I feel like I could finish it very easily this weekend. That's gonna be, it's probably not gonna focus, but A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Mallerman. That's one option for audio. And then also we have Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi, and this one I've also heard is very, very terrifying, so this one I might listen to only in the dark or something like that. But those are my two audiobook picks. Sorry for any sounds that you hear. There's like, first of all, there's like either like landscaping or some sort of construction going on like right outside my apartment, and both of my dogs are very, very disgruntled about it, and they're good boys. So if you heard any boofing, any sort of dog noise during that, just know that they are excited for spooky season and very disgruntled about construction. So those are the three books that I am going to start. We've got Friday, we've got Saturday, we've got Sunday, a whole spooky season kickoff weekend. Hopefully, I have like really good, especially about the new releases. I've heard very mixed things about The House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman, which honestly makes a lot of sense because I have very mixed feelings, not mixed feelings about Josh Malerman, but I tend to either like not vibe with his work or absolutely love it. So we'll have to see which one that is, but I'm very excited about the 2 new releases as well, to see if they are worth the hype. So very, very excited for that. But yeah, those are my plans for the weekend. So today, after I finish wrapping this up, going to the library, going to get lunch with a friend, going to get something notarized, very fun stuff, and then coming back here, working a little bit, and then we're gonna dive into some absolutely spooky reads. So I cannot wait. Let's get this weekend started. Hey friends, happy Monday. I did not update at all during the weekend. I was just having the worst cramps. So I pretty much just stayed in bed all day, had my partner take care of me, which was really nice. And just, you know, I did do some reading, but I did a lot of vegging as well. So it's now Monday. I'm going to give one quick little reading update because I did start 2 of the books that I mentioned earlier for my weekend spooky reads. The first one is Boys in the Valley. I'm about 40% of the way through this one. This is definitely almost like The Exorcist meets like Lord of the Flies. It follows a bunch of boys in this orphanage, and there's a mysterious stranger that comes. Also worth pointing out that it's like a religious orphanage, so all of the people that take care of them are priests. A mysterious stranger comes, seems to maybe have been possessed by the devil, dies in the orphanage, and weird things start happening. So 40% of the way through that one. I am trying to listen to it like at night, just to get that like very creepy ambiance. The audiobook narrator is very good, so I'm trying to play around with like format and ambiance a little bit to see if I can scare myself a little bit in September. Now the other book that I actually started and finished this weekend was The Handyman Method by Nick Cutter and and Andrew F. Sullivan. Now this one, I did not love it as much as I was anticipating. Definitely, I think my least favorite thing that I have read by Nick Cutter, and that being The Troop in the Deep. I haven't read Little Heaven. I think maybe there's some other ones out there, but my least favorite, I enjoyed, so it's a haunted house premise. This family moves to this house in the middle of nowhere. It's supposed to be the first in a development, so they got a deal on it, and things start going wrong. And we have what I think is the coolest part of this premise is that you kind of see a la The Shining, the father kind of slowly descend into mayhem and like this very toxic masculine version of himself. He's listening to this home improvement channel to try and figure out like how to do little fixes around the house because he's a homeowner now, and the videos start becoming more tailored to him, and he starts hearing the voice of this YouTube host even when he's not watching videos. The young son, he's also experiencing, he's watching YouTube videos, and some of the characters start telling him to do like sinister things. So I thought that haunted media aspect was really enjoyable. There's a twist that happens in here about halfway through this book that really changes the tone and trajectory of the book. I think that's really gonna make or break it for some people. I was not so much on board, but I think some other people are gonna love the way that this twist happens on a haunted house story and like the tropes there. Like this really does turn them on their heads. I'd say the biggest thing for me is that before we start seeing Trent, the father, become this really disgustingly toxic masculine man, the things that he's thinking about his wife, spewing against women, are like gross, very incel-y things that you see on the internet. And like people actually saying, so like that was not fun to like read over and over again, so that was hard at times to handle. But I didn't see enough of the beginning of the family. Like the stakes weren't there for me to care almost about the descent. I never saw Trent as like a good guy, a good father, like because from chapter 2 things start getting into like the haunted territory very quickly, which is good if you don't want a slow-paced book, but I just needed some stakes to care about why Trent was acting this way, because it didn't really seem like you didn't get enough good guy Trent in the beginning to kind of see like he was being corrupted by this house. It just kind of seemed like these parts were in him all along. That being said, some good things about this book is that you do not question once whether or not this is supernatural. The family doesn't even question whether or not this is supernatural, so I thought that was refreshing. You don't get like the typical gaslighting maybe of stories like this where certain members of the family are like, it's definitely not haunted. Like everyone's pretty much on board knowing that there's something crazy going on here, so that was good. Also, you know, Nick Cutter, I mean it could be Andrew F. Sullivan too, but just I've read Nick Cutter before, and he has this way of describing truly horrific, gross body horror scenes, and that was in there. I appreciated that. There's one scene that I'm thinking of in particular that like made me want to gag. Let's see, trigger warnings for animal abuse. I don't think it's the most shocking thing in here, but I do know people, especially in horror, are like more sensitive to animal cruelty than human cruelty. I think the scenes of human torture in here are worse than what happens to the pet turtle in here. Just an FYI, but there is a scene with a pet turtle, and Nick Cutter says in his acknowledgements at the end that it seems like he has a thing for turtles and he apologizes. But now that going in there, this is, you know, a haunting story, but it also does have a lot of body horror. So I think in the hands of the right reader, this is gonna be like your favorite horror book of 2023. I can totally see why people are hyping this up. It really, I don't know if it was just like the hype. I was way too anticipatory for it, but it was good. I finished it all, and I'd say the last 100 pages I read in a sitting. So I really did enjoy reading it. Just it wasn't my favorite by Nick Cutter that I've read read before, it wouldn't be one that I would suggest for your first knit cutter book, because I don't think it's the best one, but I did enjoy my time reading it. And yeah, there are some very, very gory horror scenes. So that's the last book that I finished for this weekly reading vlog. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel for all the cozy gaming and bookish content. Stay safe, keep it creepy, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye!